You guys are tuned to the Watch Podcast with your host, owner-operator, Eric Huggins, Nice Watch Patrol. We are the light in the dark. Psalm 139, verse 12.
We're on episode 35.
California's homeless crisis really goes back to the closure of state mental hospitals starting in the 1960s. Politicians eliminated more than 85% of those beds and dumped thousands of patients into our communities, leading to decades of neglect.
Familiar with Prop 1. It's a mental health bond, building treatment facilities for those with mental health issues, and it's aiming to tackle homelessness, right? Kern County has a big homelessness problem. Why did they majority vote no on it?
Says Proposition 1 will make sure the state's mental health system is meeting the needs of all Californians, which he claims will help address the homeless crisis.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are having an amazing week. And I also want to recognize that it is women's. It's women's. We're in March, so it's Women's History Month, and it's great because I'm working on with a couple women here in town, and trying to get them on a podcast to just celebrate them and who they are and what they do for the community. So, but you know what? We're gonna go on bigger, better things right now. Because those are in the works, so we're gonna hope and pray, cross our fingers that it actually happens. But in the meantime, today we are talking about the Proposition 5 that people voted for. Either they voted yes or they voted no. So if you guys were a recipient of Super Tuesday, then you guys would have voted either yes or no for Proposition 1. Now, Proposition 1 is something that the governor, Gavin Newsom, our lovely governor, oh my God, yeah, look at that chin line on him. Yeah, I look at him and I'm like, gosh, damn, that's a beautiful man. That guy is a great representative to the state, but he sucks. I've never been a big fan of Gavin Newsom, and I'm still not a big fan of Gavin Newsom. And during COVID, I really wasn't a big fan of Gavin Newsom. Okay, I thought he sucked. I thought he was the worst governor that I've ever laid my eyes on. I mean, those are very dotting eyes, by the way. Okay, I'm like, look at him. I'm like, gosh, damn, it's a beautiful man. When I get to that age, I want to look like that. I don't know, maybe not. Well, I guess my skin color, tone, whatever. But at least keep my hair at his age. I don't know. But this knucklehead wants to run for president in 2028. Not interested. Care how damn beautiful he looks. I'm not a fan of Gavin Newsom because, because as a person that works in the private sector and the person that kind of is always around the homelessness, and I see kind of what they do, and I see what's going on. I see the programs that are in place, and I look at it, and I say, it's not enough. Okay, and we're all, excuse me, I'm a little sick, guys. We're always going to say that it's not enough, okay? Unfortunately, it is what it is. I'm just being a critic here. I'm looking at California, I'm looking at what they're doing, but guess what? They don't ever add security. Security is never the talk. Okay, we want to roll out these programs, but with no security standards in place. We're not thinking about the security side of it, because guess who has to deal with it? Because while these knuckleheads are dealing with mental illness and they're dealing with drug addiction, who's going to manage all that? You're going to have social workers. You're going to have the people that work there. That have no experience in working in security, and no experience in working in access control, and no experience dealing with the homeless or people that are mentally ill. Now, why would you want to have them there that are watching over everybody? It's stupid. And stupid is a really strong word. God dang it! I don't want to say stupid, but it really is stupid. That we have these programs in place. And we're telling American people, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And nothing ever really gets done. And then everybody is sitting there scratching their head like, okay, so that ballot that I voted for last year, it passed, but I really haven't seen any movement on it, you know? Um, and so it sucks. So a lot of people are very, very ignorant when it comes to voting. I remember in 2013 they passed a ballot of the Prop 46. Now, Prop 46 was the Safe Act school law that was in place, and people saw that and said, "Oh, Safe Act school law. Oh my God, I'm voting yes on this one." But no one ever actually read through the ballot and saw what it actually was. And so now retailers are struggling to keep their businesses open because they're dealing with theft, petty theft, organized retail theft crimes. They're doing so much, and they realized, and in California realized the California voters realized they shot themselves in the foot. That's what they did. You know, back in 2013, I was 27, I think. Gosh dang, I won't talk about ages right now. Anyway, back in 2017, I saw this ballot. And I said, "Oh no, no way!" I worked loss prevention. If you guys didn't know, I worked loss prevention, and I thought this was a terrible idea. This law, and I said, I swear to God, if people vote for this, they've all shot themselves in the foot. So the day that they voted for it and the day it passed, I said, I'm out. I stopped working loss prevention, and I said, this is not for me. Because I saw what was gonna happen. I saw what was gonna come of it, and I saw that at a point in time we would not be able to apprehend people shoplifting from local retailers, stores, businesses. We couldn't do anything about it. So I said, why put myself in jeopardy, and why put myself my livelihood at stake if I can't just grab one guy by his neck and just put him on the ground and say, hey, don't do it again. It sounds great, right? I love the way it sounds. But obviously, I mean, I've gotten in some pretty bad scuffles working loss prevention. So I mean, I guess part of me sees like I get it, but then I really don't get it because there's really no support when it comes to law enforcement on the security end of it. So unless people continue to complain about it, that's when law enforcement shows up. Which I mean, it is what it is, but it's politics. It's how it is, and I wish people would be able to understand the politics of it, rather than dealing about the social aspect. Oh my God, my business got broken into. No one's doing anything about it. But you have to look at the politics. You have to look at who voted for this. A bunch of liberals voted for this Prop 46. So moving on with life. And now they're trying to redact it, and they're trying to make anyway. That's for another podcast. Anywho, going back and forth. So if you guys live in the state of California, you guys have about 181,000 people statewide, homeless people, to be exact, and including 75,000 in Los Angeles County. They're all homeless, according to the 2023 census counts. Now, they could be higher, it could be either lower or higher. So whoever they counted, whoever they found, they're homeless. If they saw me on the street around that time and I was having a bad day, they probably might would have looked at me, pointed at me, and said, "Oh yeah, he's homeless too." I don't know. So 80% of the population in state of California is unhoused and have experienced serious mental illness, mental health conditions, and nearly 2/3 have some sort of point of their regular. God, it's a tongue twister, man. Regularly, they used drugs, according to the recent survey that was done by by UC San Francisco. So, people are pretty smart, right? I don't know. So we say illicit drugs. We think of method. We think of the common drugs. The ones that put people on the streets. We think of methamphetamine. We think of heroin. We think of right now fentanyl. Fentanyl's big. We think of fentanyl. Those things will send you back. Crack cocaine. Crack cocaine is making a little bit of a comeback for those that get it now. And so this bill that they want to sign off, right? It's going to approve $6.38 billion to build thousands of more units permanent and supportive housing and treatment beds for people with mental illness and or substance abuse disorder across the state. Now, if you see that piece, you look at the money. You say, well, that's a lot of money. Just 2 years ago, they passed state of California passed a law of $4.3 billion to help combat homelessness. And the mayor in San Jose, in LA County, Mayor Karen, I don't remember her last name. She said, you know what? I'm done with the homelessness. We are going to put them all in housing. Cool. A security company contacted me and told me that they're going to, inform me that they're going to be experiencing a lot of extra workflow, and they asked me if I'd be interested in doing the work. And I said, hell yeah, I would love to. He says, dude, they're putting people in housing units that are still on drugs. They're trying to help them be able to bring their carts and baskets inside of their freaking hotel room or their room. They don't tell you stuff about that. They don't tell you stuff like that. They don't say, hey, by the way, this measure that you guys are voting for, we're going to allow the homeless people to bring their carts into their apartment and make more of a mess. And you know what? They're going to probably burn the place down, which has happened in San Francisco. Gosh dang it, San Francisco, which happened in LA. There's hotels that are getting burnt down, the rooms, because they're allowing illicit drugs still to be present in these places. So it's and we look at all this money that we're putting into the state of California. I mean, Californians, okay, here's some good numbers for you guys to know. Californians are facing a $73 billion deficit. Okay? And guess who has to pay for it? We do. You, I, that person in the corner. Anyone has a working job. Anyone that receives a W-2. They're going to force us to pay $310 million for the next 30 years. And then we think about the homelessness, $73 billion of homelessness and mental health, behavioral services, all that fun stuff. But then we have to think about the infrastructure. Buildings, stores, opening. How do we manage to get past $310 million a year for the next 30 years? It's crazy. It's so bad to see all these homeless people out there. You guys work private security. You guys work in mental health facilities. You guys know, all right. You guys know. You guys seen it. I see it every day. I'm gonna go to work tonight, and I'm gonna see it again, over and over again. And it drives me crazy, and I hate it. I just wish, I wish that we had better plans for this. But when we think about the better plan, I think about private security. Why isn't private security being all over this? They don't have enough law enforcement officers to be able to sit there and babysit these people while they're trying to get well and trying to get established to life again. They don't have anybody there besides, MET team workers. If you guys know who the MET team is, it's the medical evaluation technicians. They evaluate people when law enforcement runs into someone with mental health issues. And they say, all right, yeah, this person's crazy. Yeah, send him over here. So they transport him instead of putting him in jail. They transport him and they send him over there to a local behavioral service place to get them services. And it hasn't worked. It really hasn't. I think it's worked. Maybe you can get one person out of these people, but one person would be one hell of a story tell and one hell of a story for someone to go out and say, hey, I was homeless. this program helped me out. I don't see too many of those stories out there where they're saying, "Hey, you know what? I got in this program. They forced me to get in. They encouraged me to get into these sober living. They offered me housing. This is that." No, it doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. I haven't heard one good story out of it. Um, so, and I just want you guys to know this: if you guys did vote for Prop One, a lot of that money is going to go to locked facilities. So now what Gavin Newsom wants to do. He wants to go revert back to the 1960s, where they used to have the. You guys ever seen that movie, Cruel Intentions? Oh, no, I'm sorry, Girl Interrupted. Okay, where they all lived in a psychiatric hospital, and they had programs and stuff for them, and they used to lock them up, all that fun stuff, whatever. Well, guess what? Now Gavin Newsom wants to wants to bring that back, and that got shut down in the 1960s. They started shutting them down, and Gavin Newsom says that it didn't provide enough that the program of locking them these people with mental health issues wasn't it said it didn't provide enough investment into the community. Okay, so I just if he doesn't think that in the 60s it provided an investment, what makes you think that in the year of 2024 it's going to provide a better investment when it comes to dealing with mental health? It's crazy. If you guys had looked at the Proposition One, there's 68 pages. 68 pages. It's very, very complicated. And that's why I want you guys to listen to this podcast, roll up your sleeves and allow me to break it down for you guys. And so you guys are able to understand exactly what this Proposition One is and what does it do for you guys, as a society in the state of California. And also, is it going to work? And a lot of times I like to say, I don't know. I think that California has given away tens of billions of dollars annually in tax breaks to corporations and wealthy people instead of investing the money into the communities that we serve, while starving critical services for everyone else. There's everyone else is out there starving, freaking out, and having a really tough life, and California wants to give tax breaks, tens of billions of dollar tax breaks to these corporations and these wealthy people. It doesn't make any sense. It's like we're going backwards. You know, you know, and I think as a Californian, I'm born and raised in California. Okay, we got to start demanding real solutions. These are up in the airs. They don't think, they just say, oh yeah, put everybody in homes. Does it work? Is it going to go anywhere? Or are we just kind of I don't know, just trying to just sweep things off under the rug? Oh, hey, we got it done. Look what I did. Good for you. High five. 2 thumbs up. Wow. Jeez, gosh. We got to start with investments in voluntary housing and care. For those individuals that are generous enough to end the homelessness crisis and meet the mental health needs of all Californians. And we got to deliver this kind of stuff in the community and do it on demand. These housing programs cannot be delivered at the expense of closing our community or mental health programs and setting back decades of progress. So 20 years ago, the state of California passed a law. It's called the Mental Health Services Act, which is going to reform in California if this law gets passed. And so now mental health facilities, behavioral health facilities will close down. You'll see a lot more closing businesses of behavioral health services. And so it will affect people's livelihoods. Um, and honestly, I think Proposition One would also impose, that $6.8 billion bond. It's going to fund forced treatment and institutionalized treatment. So now we're forcing people to get better, and not the commonly based mental health services and housing that California's like. Let's say my mom told me the story years ago, and we're gonna call her. I don't remember her name, but the story stuck with me for the rest of my life. I think her name was we'll call her Beth. Okay, so so Beth was this was during when everything shut down back in 2008, where everyone lost their homes and everything like that. So Beth was I believe she was an attorney, and she lost her job. She lost her job, she lost her house, she was going through a divorce too at the same time. So I mean, doesn't make things any better. And then all she had to her name was her car. Okay, her car. She had a Mercedes. Um, and she was living in her car. You and obviously when you're homeless, even if you're not on drugs, it does something to you. Makes you um you start creating, if you already had multiple mental health conditions, it worsens because of the situation that you're in. And not to mention, my mom had told me that she was in stage 3. She was stage 3 cancer. Um and she felt good living in her nice Mercedes. She's like, you know what, she could lock her door, she could lock her car door for safety. When her in 1 year her vehicle got repossessed, and life became extremely unbearable for her. And her mental health just got worse. It started, flaring up. And Beth, she frantically reached out for local nonprofits, city and county programs for help, and no one answered the damn phone. She went to a local church, and they paid for a hotel for a couple nights, um, to help, Beth avoid sleeping outside at night. Now, when we think of mental health, we think that it's available readily, that we can just kind of go to a nonprofit and we can go get help. And it doesn't work like that. You know, um, it's crazy that California, these politicians are getting us to believe and to think that all what they're trying to do is going to help everybody with mental health. But then gosh dang it, it dawns on me, what about the other people that have mental health that are not homeless? What about those programs for them? Those programs go away. That mental health Services Act, it goes away. Now, if you have mental health issues, now some of the programs that you used to go through, or some of the treatments you used to go through, you can't go through anymore, because now they're closing it all down, and it's going to go to that $3.8 billion proposition that Gavin Newsom wants to impose on the state of California. It's crazy. You're coercing people to get help. If you don't get help, I'm going to do this or else. It's a very, very crazy vision, and we live in a democracy, not a dictatorship. You can't sit there and tell someone you need to go get help. That's where families come in. Mom, your dad, your uncle, your cousin say, "Hey, man, time to get some help, man." Have you guys ever seen that show Intervention? How you look at it, and how hard is it for these people? Half of them aren't even homeless. How hard is it for those people to get the help? You have to go on a freaking show to go get some help. And then when they do get the help, they complain about, like, "I don't want your help. And guess what? They go to the treatment. They go there for 6 to 8 weeks. They come back, and guess what? 3 weeks later, they're high again, back on the streets. So I tell this to people, you got to be tired. Your own self has to be tired of living the way you live. We shouldn't sit there forcing it on people, which California is very, very good at, forcing things onto people. We shouldn't force them. We should encourage it. All right? For also Proposition 1, a zero-sum initiative that pits California's housing and voluntary community-based mental health needs against one another while taking us back to a dark era of forced treatment and institutionalization. Like I was going back to saying, Gavin Newsom is offering this $6.8 billion, but guess what? If you didn't read in the fine print, he wants to put people on locked hospital facilities. Force them to be there. Force them to get help. Force them to go through mental health, stuff. And although I say that's awesome, that's great. But when did private security ever get involved in any of this stuff? When do they say, you know what, guys, we have the plan. We're going to do this. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. And guess what? We're going to require that we hire private security companies. I've worked with Housing Authority a couple of times. I've never done any work for them, but when they called and requested for security services, I charged them what I thought was appropriate to deal with the mental health, to deal with people that are unstable, and to deal with the risk. They looked at my proposal and said, we're not interested. We're going to go with these guys. They're only going to charge us $24.50. $24.50 for an armed security guard to sit out there to deal with mentally ill people. And some of these guards have no formal training in mental health. They have no training in dealing with people in these type of demographics. And that's the going rate for security. And this is after they've already imposed that $4.3 billion to these hotels and these places and these facilities and to create more housing. This is what they think security is worth. You guys are worth $24.50 an hour. That's all we can give your guard. So guess what? If you own a security company, what are you paying them? You're going to have to pay your guard $17 an hour because you still have to make some money on the side. Insurance companies don't want to cover that. They don't want to cover that. It's high risk. And then you try to explain this to these nonprofit organizations. You try to explain this to the Housing Authority. And they look at you and they said, okay, we're going to go with somebody else. And when they get somebody else, all they do is stand there and say, and take pictures and call law enforcement. And I think in life, we're in 2024. I want to say that security has evolved a little bit more than the 1960s guards. A little bit more training available out there. Not that we all take it, but we carry a little bit more equipment out there these days. Not that some of us even need to carry it. Jeez. But there's a lot of stuff going on when it comes to that. They're not looking at private security. They're just saying we're going to put these guys in housing and that's it. But there's no security measures in place. If you would go to that ballot and you give that Proposition 1 ballot to me with the 68 pages on there and you say, you know what? And every other page we're including private security, I would say I'm all for it. Sign me up. But let me sign a dotted line on this Proposition 1. And that's the part that bothers me so much is that they don't think about private security. They just think about putting people in these homes and having everybody else deal with them. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything, but if you guys live here in Bakersfield, California, there's a damn facility, CityServe, very, very big nonprofit organization that operates in the state of California. They do a lot of stuff for people, for families, everything. And they managed to put housing, these big old giant apartment buildings, in front of their nice, pretty structure parking lot. And not once did I hear anything about private security. We're going to hire this private security. We're going to hire armed security. We're going to hire this. We're going to hire that. Nothing. And it sucks. Because if you're going to put Prop 1 out there, you have to facilitate involuntary treatment and course care. And it could seriously be counterproductive to what the state of California is trying to do. And I truly believe it's going to be if this law passes, it is going to be one hell of a ride for Californians. And I tell you this, if you gotta live in California, I say, you know what? If this law passes, you guys might want to start moving on out. We all want to solve, the state dyer's homelessness. We want to get people off the streets, and we want to get them out of tents and into treatments. That's great. We want to help them with their disability rights activists, mental health advocates, and the American Civil Liberties Union. They had all countered that it would take money away from the community-based preventative mental health programs to finance locked-door psychiatric institutions' involuntary treatment. And I know I've said this like 3 times already, but that's what Gavin Newsom wanted to do. He wants to impose psychiatric institutions where there's involuntary treatment. Well, who the hell is going to be dealing with people when they're coming off of their crap? How do we deal with mental health when someone's coming off of heroin? I don't know. I don't know if you guys have ever issued Narcan to someone that was under the influence, but when I gave Narcan to an individual, I got punched in the face. So imagine someone's coming off of their stuff. Constantly, you're going to be dealing with those challenges of getting punched in the face. You're going to be getting assaulted verbally, physically, and they want these nurses and these doctors to deal with the physical abuse. We're not even thinking about workers' comp. We're trying to just hush everybody up. We're just trying. What Gavin Newsom wants to do, he wants to just sit there and just shut up. I got a plan. It's not a plan. It's an idea. Not a plan. He has an idea. And the fact that they passed this is nuts. The fact that they passed this to go into the ballots trips me the hell out. It's I think decades of disinvestment have left California's affordable housing and community mental health systems in shambles. They can't come close to making their dreams a reality. The wait lists are long. Oh my gosh. Wait lists. There's a homeless guy that I run into every other week. And every time I talk to him, it's been over 2 years already. Every time I talk to him, he says, "Oh man, yeah, man, I'm just hey, sorry, man, I'm just sleeping here for the night. I got my housing's coming in tomorrow." I'm going to move into my apartment. And I tell him every time, that's awesome. Every time I have a conversation, every time I have to evict him from a property, or sometimes he just sees me at the gas station. He's like, hey, remember me? I said, yeah, I remember you. He says, I'm going to get my room tomorrow, man. I said, that's awesome. See him tomorrow doing the same exact thing, tell me the same exact story. Because of these long wait lists. And sometimes they take years, decades, while people are often unable to access community-based mental health care that requires them to stay well. So if you're going through mental health crisis and you're struggling to get housing, well, guess what? You get no mental health help until you get into the house. That's crazy. And it's these deprivations are all linked. That grinding hardship and discrimination of an unhoused people contribute to the deterioration of the mental health, the health and mental health, and increases the risk of premature death and interferes with the effectiveness of treatment. It sucks, man. It really, really bugs the hell out of me when I see this stuff. Because I work private security, and a lot of places that I get hired for is to combat the homeless, to redirect. I talk to a lot of them. I ask them, hey, you ever want to get some help? Some people said, no. Why, as a homeless person, why would you want to leave your livelihood a free will? You don't have to get mental. If you're a homeless person and you've established yourself as a homeless person, you're established in the area that you're in, you see that person every single day, you're going to notice that they have a lot of luxuries. If you guys didn't know, I think sometimes they're living better lives than we're living sometimes. They don't have to check in with nobody. They live a free life. A lot of times nonprofit groups go and throw them money, throw them food, whatever. They don't have to work. They can go wherever they want. They have their local drug supplier in the area. They have a gas station, a food area that they've become friendly with of the worker there. So now they get free stuff all the time. So now what? Now why would you want to leave that particular area? Okay, then you have friends in the area, and you guys constantly. I don't see you guys. I think the problem with California is that they're very, very ignorant of how privileged these homeless individuals are. Because if they're on drugs, okay, so if you guys ever live, it doesn't matter where you live at. But if you guys ever see a bunch of homeless people congregated in one particular place at one particular time, right? They're all just kind of huddled up, and you always happen to see them at a particular time. You always see them. Let's say you always see them every day when you're leaving work. You see them every day at 6 p.m. You see them all huddled over together. Well, guess what? It's trading time. They're trading. They're trading drugs. One person may have drugs. Say, hey man, I got drugs. I got an eighth. We got one person that panhandled all day, so he's like, hey, you know what? I got $57. Okay, cool. Anyone else got money? Oh yeah, hey, I got 10. I'll drop 10 on it, and then we'll split. Okay, cool. Hey, I got batteries. I stole batteries from a local store. Okay, yeah, he's like, give me $3 for the batteries. It's a trading post. These homeless individuals out there that we think that's crazy and suffering from some severe mental illness, I think in my experience dealing with them, I think they're the smartest people in the world, street smart wise. They can sit there and take advantage of you. You wouldn't even know it. If you guys ever notice that you guys happen to give a homeless guy, 3 cheeseburgers bag in a McDonald's, whatever. You wrap it up, whatever. So here you go. And the guy looks at you and says, thank you. You come back to that area. He still has that bag of cheeseburgers right there. Guess what? He doesn't want your damn cheeseburgers. He's going to sell it as trading post. 6 o'clock comes by. I got 3 cheeseburgers, man. No onions, extra pickles. And he's like, oh, I love pickles. Oh, yeah, give me that. Oh, what do you want for it? Give me a pack of batteries. Okay, I'll give you a pack of batteries. Guess that's it. Just interchanging. And us Californians, we're too stupid to realize we're getting played every single day. You know, the Mental Health Services Act law, it passed back in 2004. And it uses 1% of taxes on high earners. So if you make a lot of money, it's going to go to you. So you make over $1 million a year, you're going to get taxed for this Mental Health Service Act, which is, I guess, an acronym for MHSA. And it's going to help. It helps pay for mental health services. The more money that would be spent on housing and supportive services for people with mental illness and substance use disorder, the less will be spent on existing county services like outpatient treatment and crisis response. We have a crisis response team, which is the MET unit, and which is the medical evaluation technicians. Now they would be the part of that crisis response. They're the ones that show up to people out there that are sitting on top of a bridge that are going to go for a jump. Or they're the ones that sit there and evaluate people for their mental health, and those are the ones that get help. That is what the MHSA does. It helps not only employ people, but also helps deal with homeless people and to figure out their placement. Where can we put them for the day or for the night? And I've worked, I've worked private security for a long time, and there's been times where I've just literally, I've exhausted all resources trying to get people help. Services aren't available during the day, guys. Okay. I've tried helping out homeless people, especially young people. When I see young people out there that are going through it, like I stay on a property longer than I need to just to make sure they can get some help. And I call law enforcement officers up there. They show up. They have no idea what to do. They're scratching their head like, well, I don't know where to put them. The mental health facilities that we have that are to help people get sober are incarcerations. We got to incarcerate people to get them right, because they have an overflow of mental health services in the jails. But there's drugs that run through the jails all the time too. So it's like we forced them to come in. We forced homeless people to come into homeless people get arrested, and it gives them an opportunity to get them off the streets for a few days, get them cleaned up, get them showered, get them well. Unfortunately they're going to be going through their own emotional state when it comes to, because they don't have really access to drugs, so they're going to start going through some detox. So sometimes I think it's a great idea. But Gavin Newsom says, well, you really want to lock up your kids in the jail and this and that. Hey, you know what? If my kid's on drugs, send them to jail. We'll get them right. We'll get them better. But unfortunately, when they get out of jail, because is my experience too. Because we lock people up because of because they did a crime, because they were under influence of drugs or alcohol, whatever. We send them to jail, and they're in there for 3-4 weeks, and they've they cleared up. They're all they're clean. And the second they get out, they go back and get high again. There really was no help. We just said, okay, you're off the drugs for 3 weeks, and there's no follow up. There's no follow up help. So they end up getting high again, and it gets worse. It sucks, man. I just Gavin Newsom says treatment's not tense, and I say, Um, we can encourage people to get sober and to get help. We can't force them. Like I said, like when you see somebody that's in jail, um, and they're going through a mental health episode, and because they're coming off of drugs, it only worsens when they get out. Okay, you're just so if we force people to get into programs, it's only a matter of time before before they start using again. And when they start using it again, it gets worse. And then this is the thing. So when you stop using for a long time, your body is no longer it doesn't your body doesn't, it's it takes it's like it takes just a little bit to get you high versus when you used to use regularly, you used to go through $50 of heroin a day. And the one time they use is the day they die. Because they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go back to using I'll go back to using the fifth," or I mean I don't know the measurements of it, but they're like, "I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna go get a whole hit of it," and they die. So who failed? We did. Society did. Because the person was sober in jail, it was great, probably the best thing in their life. They get back out. There's no formal help. And because they were forced to be sober, and now it makes them want to use even more. So I know that the ballots were last week, a few days ago, whatever. And if you guys did vote for Proposition 1, whatever. But if you didn't vote for it, then that's good. You have to look at the people. I think if you looking at the tax dollars, okay, if you think about your rent, right? Think about your rent. You think about the food that you buy, and just inflation is just crazy. And then you want to get topped off with $6.8 billion, and have to pay it back $310 million a year for taxpayers for the next 30 years? Dude, no way. So, you have to think about this too, is that if look at this. Look at it like this. Say you pass by a homeless person today, okay? And you think about that bill. You look at him, you say, "Oh man, that poor guy, I can't wait till his bill passes." For that $6.8 billion, each homeless person that you see that's on the street is worth $42,000. That's how much the state is going to put towards that one person. $42,000 in mental health services and health services and all this fun institutionalized stuff, efforts. That's $42,000 per person. Each homeless person you see, do the math, you're $42,000. $42,000. That's what you're paying for. Half the people that are living, that are trying to live life and trying to do the best they can, they're stuck. And they're making less than $42,000. And California is willing to put $42,000 on an individual that doesn't want their damn help. Being forced into getting help. You can't force somebody into help. They have to say, "You know what? It's time for me to stop." Education. We're thinking about religion. We got to think about religion. They're trying to tell us to not teach our kids, to say, "In God we trust." That's where it starts. If a high school or school can't say, "In God we trust," we're all doomed. It sucks. And if you're going to think about mental health, start off with the basic things. Start off from when they were kids. What do the schools do for these kids that let them in the position that they're in? Maybe they're the ones that should be. Maybe some educators out there, and maybe some parents out there should be responsible for allowing their children to go through this. Um, it's it's really really it's sad, you know. And I think over time we'll see more people in the streets than fewer if this law passes. And and I look at it as not only do I look at it as a voter, I also look at it as a person that works private security, because no one's even thinking about private security. You know, they just say, "Oh, we're just gonna put them in these mental health facilities and let just normal people handle it." No one's ever no if and like I said, and I said this before, if Gavin Newsom said, "You know what? We are going to make these institutions or in these places hire armed private security," then I'd say, you know what? I'm in. But they're not. And the calls that I've gotten for these hotels, since California wants to turn all these rundown hotels into housing, they call me for security and they said, the guys that's charging me, he's charging me too much. I said, how much does he charge you? He's charging me $19 an hour. That's a lot of money. What? I said, well, guess what? You guys got to pay insurance. You got to pay for workers' comp. You got to pay for the training. I said, it's going to cost you a whole lot of money. And they just hang up. Our conversation's done here. I said, all right, have a good day. Have a good life. Bye. Bon voyage. Good luck. And they go hire some Joe Smo, some homeless guy that do security. And that's going to be another podcast. Gosh damn it. But yeah, we're all out of time. I hope you guys, hope this has been informative for you guys, and I hope you guys got something out of it. If you guys didn't, then whatever. Just send me a message and say, hey, that podcast is really stupid. Don't ever do it again. And I'll be like, all right, for sure. I'll never do it again. Yeah. I'll never do it again. Wink, wink. Yeah, it's been real, man. Just stay tuned for the next couple weeks. We're gonna try to get some ladies in here to celebrate them and all this stuff that they do. And we're gonna have a social worker that's gonna be coming in, and we're gonna go back and we're gonna weigh on this treatment not tense proposition 1 that Gavin Newsom has set forth towards it, and we're gonna see what it means to her. So very very excited to have some of these guests on here. We're gonna have a police officer here. And she's here in Bakersfield, so I'm pretty excited about for this month. I wanted to do, if I would have planned it the way I should have planned it, then I would have had someone here every week. Unfortunately, you run a security company and you do payroll and all, anyway. I got a lot of stuff on my plate. For me to be here, for me to be able to use this extra time, it's because I care about my industry and I want people to be informed, and I want to encourage individuals to make the right choices, and if you guys don't believe me, then go look it up, and you guys tell me what you guys think. Really. And matter of fact, you know what? Just do this. Gavin Newsom is really messed up. Gavin Newsom just said, you know what? We're gonna put everybody in church. Okay, put them all in church. All right. Yes. Give us some Jesus. Let Jesus talk to him, man. And I'm telling you, man, he makes miracles. If you guys do not follow me on social media, you guys can follow me at Night Watch Patrol on Instagram. And that's going to be plural with Nights, Nights, Watch Patrol on Instagram. If you guys happen to give a damn, check up on our webpage at www.nightswatchsecurity.com. And if you guys really care, check our Facebook out. It's going to be NW Patrol. If you guys have any questions or concerns, you guys can always message me. I'm not always readily available, but I try to be. So give me a ring, and if I don't get back to you today, maybe I'll call you next week. Yeah. Well, that said, wow. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I want you guys to love God, love each other, Let's go Disney World!
Watching you, watching me.